out there tonight? Whoa.
You stumped me now.
Check out our website, mannimalresearch.com. Thanks to everybody. Hello. How's it going out there tonight? Hope that everyone is doing well. Merry Christmas to everybody. Those of you that will catch it live with us tonight, those of you that will watch it later, we sure do appreciate it. As you guys can tell, there's a strange face over to my right. Y'all know who that is. Mr. Jasper Walls has joined us tonight. How's it going, buddy?
Good so far, man. Been missing the show for quite a while.
Yeah, I know, man. I'm glad to have you back. Both of us have had something come up last week. I had an ulcer hit like the day before, and I had planned all day long to do the show, and I just couldn't do it before. Right before it happened, I had to call it. So I was feeling pretty rough. Week before that, you had something. You were going out with your boys or something.
Yeah. It was, what was it? Something. I can't remember what it was now, but I know last week was, no, it was both times with her dad, with Jen's dad. So
That's right. How's he doing?
He's at home. He's doing better. He's still here and there. It's getting used to the body's getting used to the meds he's on, but he's doing a lot better. The clot's gone, so it cleared out, and so he was able to send him home.
Good deal. Yeah, we talked about it a little bit. I didn't really go into great detail. I mean, I didn't know a whole lot, but we asked for prayers for him, and glad that he's doing better.
Yep.
We got Flat Rock. What's up, buddy? There's Walls, Mr. Andy Jones on there. Sharon Guy, thank you, ma'am.
I was about to wonder nobody was showing up.
I know we usually have a few. You got Greg Smith. How's it going, buddy? Another member of Mannimal. High Desert Bar. How's it going, ma'am?
There's Gypsy Road just said hello. I saw that pop up.
What's up, bud? Yeah. We need to get back in. We need to get back on his show if he'll have us. I had a good time with those guys, hanging out with them out in California.
Yep.
This old Bigfoot hunter. How's it going, buddy?
So, what you had an idea about doing something in a couple of weeks, huh?
Yeah, I was trying to put something together. Thinking about going out maybe the one weekend after the first of the year, maybe the 7th, the 8th, that weekend. I don't. What do you think? You think you'll be able to make it?
I probably can try swing it, see what I can do, and what location you want to go to. You have to tell me after the show.
Yeah.
Get one nearby or one of the old ones or something.
I think. I don't know, man. I'd like to go up where one of our original. You know what I'm talking about? Where we got to have.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that would be fine. We'll work it out though. I asked John about it. Hadn't heard back from him yet, and we'll see if Greg wants to go and all of our regulars. And I want to give a shout out to Mr. Bobby Sledge. I hear that he is feeling better. Bobby had surgery. Bobby is one of our member of Mannimal Research. He's gone out on an expedition or two with us, and the heck of a guy. He got hit. He had a car accident and had to have surgery on his spinal column, I think his lower back and his neck. And he's actually paralyzed in one of his legs. He couldn't move one of his legs, but he says the surgery worked wonders and everything is going well. So maybe he can get out there.
Hang out at least. You can hang around the fire. Hang around and everything.
That's right.
Well, I know you've been waiting about I had a little surprise, kind of a little surprise for all of us. You remember back in our little camp out thing we had, and
watch out.
Yeah, the squash out, and there's a phrase I've been saying that I wanted to get something done with it, right?
I know what you're talking about.
My buddy of mine that drives a truck, his wife has started doing things with decals and stuff like that. So I asked her, well, my phrase has come to life and come to pass in future. I'm going to show you because here it is.
Did you get a shirt made?
I did, sir.
What does it say? Hi, I'm Jasper. I touched Bigfoot's butt.
There it is. Live and well.
But I can't wear it. I'm not Jasper.
Well, that's all right. It can still be sold. We can. I'm gonna try to. And it's not this is a premium shirt, so this is actually the real deal. We'll figure something out. We can get it set up if people want to buy it, want to get a copy of it and buy it. And then we'll figure it up, set it up. Proceeds to pretty much go to the group, and awesome. We'll figure it out how we can set it up on the website or something, and that way people can go there and click on it. Or actually, what I'm wanting to do, if anybody tonight or past wants, they can get. You still got my email. You can pop it up there.
Yeah, I'll get it for that.
Send me your email. Email me your size. If you want that. We've got what kind of design you want to do. I can pass it on to her, see how she does, see if she can get it. And then your shirt size, and if you want premium, or do you want a lower premium in a way instead of, because that premium, that's 100% polyester, I believe. It's not all cotton. I can't remember, but I know it's one of the high dollar shirts. So we'll definitely, we'll give you an option if you want it, and you can have that right there. I am in the process. I am trying to get the process going. I gotta save up a little bit of money. I am want to trademark that. I want to trademark that, and I wanted to kind of give you a Christmas present. And it's kind of, apparently it costs a lot of money to trademark something, which blew my mind. Because you go through attorney fees and everything else with everything. But I wanted to get Mannimal and put it as a trademark and stuff. Now, if you guys want shirts with Mannimal research on there and our initials, we can do that. She also has an option with shirts with pockets, and she actually has a design where Bigfoot is out popping his head outside of looking over the top of the pocket. So she can she played around with it and came up. She just texted me because she's watching tonight. I told them to watch. They actually subscribed, and it's a cotton, 100% cotton, so it's the real deal. But yeah, I've been excited about that. She said she could do it. She got it done. Got home and she does it on the weekend because she drives the truck with. She don't drive the truck. She actually drives it with Mark, her husband. Actually, he's actually got it pretty made. He drives, makes the money, and she's back there doing all this and getting ideas and everything, and cooks him dinner and everything. Cooks them both over there. Takes care of him on there. So he's pretty much got it made.
Wow.
So
yeah, that's awesome. We know we've been talking about doing this for a while, and here you are finding somebody right about the same time I found somebody. Yeah, I got a buddy of mine at work that wants to start helping make some shirts. So we're going to have some options. We get asked a lot.
Yeah,
when we're going to start selling some shirts. So they're coming, guys, and shirts, decals, and my buddy at work actually does etching on like glasses, shot glasses, and stuff.
I'll get you one made.
Yeah, you're gonna have to, man. Sweet.
It is. It's live now. The phrase got it.
Yep. Well, we've been talking about that for a while.
I won't ever wear it because it's white and it says that.
Yeah.
I figured I'm gonna try to do it for the show and have it hanging up pop it up behind my head, and that way they can see
just frame it.
Yeah, we could do that. That's a good idea. I might do that.
Yeah. All right, let's do all this. Everybody, hit that subscribe button if you have not done so yet. We sure would appreciate your support, the support you've given us, and support you are continue to give us, and tell your friends to hit that subscribe button.
Yep. And guys, make sure y'all also still say a prayer for the state of Kentucky up there in Mayfield. I know it sucks before Christmas. I know how it felt. We had it happen in Ringo and Addison. I lost a best friend in the April 27th ones. So it's pretty rough. Even though we don't know them, still pray for everybody up there.
Yeah, there's several parts of the country that were just absolutely devastated by tornadoes, and Kentucky is our neighbor to the north.
Yep.
And good people up there, and there's really, really good researchers up there doing some really cool stuff. And you said it, bud. Say a prayer for those guys up there. They're having it rough right now. So good deal.
So we got a guess about our guess is about the Dogman this time, huh?
Yeah, well, let's tell everybody about the Mannimal Research on Facebook. If you haven't already join that for us if you don't mind. Mannimal Research on Facebook. Also tonight we got our buddy Walls with us. So you guys have questions for our guest tonight, Mr. William. Feel free to ask them, but if you do so, put them all in caps so that Walls can see it and notify me, and we can get that on there for him. But yeah, just like Walls was saying, we have William on tonight. William is in Ohio, and he is a member of the North American Dogman Project. This is the second Dogman episode that we have been able to do, and I'm becoming really, really interested in the subject. When we first started doing this, I'll be honest, I didn't think there was anything there. I thought that Dogman was just a misidentified Bigfoot. I thought it was silly, to be honest. But the more you read about these encounters and the reputable people that are having them, reputable people that are seeing these things and saying that it's not a Bigfoot, that you gotta start giving it some attention. So that's what we're doing. Tonight,
it's the same thing with our paranormal stuff. I mean, it's all in a circle there, man. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, we're trying to start covering a lot more of that stuff. Bigfoot's always going to be where our heart is and
right.
our main area of research. But these other things, they certainly deserve some time. We got a few pictures to share tonight. William's going to share with us and talk about one terrible. It's a heartbreaking story, really, about some pet dogs that were hurt. So he's going to come on and talk about that. And if you are ready, buddy, we will go ahead and bring Mr. William on.
Yeah, man, we'll do it.
William, how's it going, buddy?
Pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. Again, want to thank you very much for taking the time and coming on with us tonight. We really appreciate it.
Hey, it's my pleasure.
Very cool. You are in Ohio, correct?
Yeah, that's my home state. I'm actually right now, I'm in the north woods of Pennsylvania in a little cottage that my family and I have. We're kind of enjoying some of the quiet winter weather out here. So.
Wow, sweet. Wish I had a cabin in Pennsylvania, but I don't. That's awesome, man. So I'm glad you can make it. The North American Dogman Project that was started and founded in the state of Ohio, right?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that organization.
Sure. So our founder, Jody Cook, he's been interested in the subject of Dogman since at least the early 2000s. Probably one of the first people to really start talking about it that I know of. He hasn't himself had a personal experience, but there's, with the hundreds and thousands of witness stories out there, just like with me, I think they kind of grabbed him and he said, hey, if even 1% of these stories is an actual cryptid, we got something out there. We need to be aware of it. So yeah, our organization has kind of caught the attention of a lot of the folks interested in cryptozoology. We've gotten a lot of reports from eyewitnesses and people who suspect activity. Jody himself has been a interviewee on Vic Cundiff's podcast, Dogman Encounters. It's a pretty big YouTube channel, as well as a podcast on Spotify and the other apps. So, but yeah, that itself is, that was where I first met him, right? I heard him on the podcast. And then I realized, hey, I'm in Ohio. I'm actually not far from where he lives. So I reached out and contacted the organization and became a part of it myself because, I thought, hey, if these people are having these experiences out there, I want to try to figure out what's going on. What is this thing they're seeing? Because it doesn't make sense, So that's what we do. Our organization was started, I believe, in 2016, and we've been collecting interviews and eyewitness accounts ever since then. And the interesting thing I'd say about it all is it seems to, I don't know if Bigfoot's the same thing, but it seems to come in like drips and then floods. So 2016 was a huge year. I mean, there were sightings all across the country, all over the place. And 2017 as well, but 2018, 2019, it kind of dried up. And 2020, well, that's a weird year anyway, because not that many people left their homes, right? But 2021, it's like things are starting all over again. There's a lot more sightings, a lot more accounts coming out. So, can you tell me, is Bigfoot the same? I don't know, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. It seems like there are certain times, certainly certain times of the year that you get more encounters than others. But that's really interesting that so many came in that time frame. Let me ask. Do you guys get a lot of reports in Michigan? Because I've always heard Michigan was Dogman heaven.
Yeah. Now, I mean, so Michigan is indeed, and in fact, one of the first recorded sightings of the Dogman, as it were, was in Michigan in the late 1800s. It's like 1890 or so. It was a logging camp was where it was recorded, and anyway, one of the loggers had an encounter with the Dogman that apparently ran off with his hat. And different accounts say it may have eaten his hat. I don't know, but he reported a wolf-like creature that ran on two legs. So.
Okay, and that was back in the late 1800s, you said.
Late 1800s. Yeah, people have been seeing these things for as long as the Native Americans have their own accounts, right? But I mean, as far as Europeans in North America, we have a town here in Southwest Ohio called Germantown. Germantown is famous for the Germantown werewolf. And those sightings started back in the middle 1850s when the town was really getting established and founded, and they continue to this day. In fact, we regularly do field research out in the metro parks in Germantown, which actually have some of the last remaining old-growth forest in the state of Ohio.
Oh, very cool, very cool. Something I'm curious about. Us being Bigfoot researchers, I know how we conduct our investigations, our trips out. We go camping. Basically, we feel like the best way to have an experience with the Sasquatch is to just be yourself. Go about your normal business and let them come to you, because you're never going to go out there and track one down. You're just not going to.
Not going to sneak up on it, no.
Yeah, and I would imagine Dogman would be the same way. So that's what we do. We go out, we camp, we be ourselves. We take like thermal imaging, night vision goggles, take a lot of audio recordings, stuff like that. What goes into a typical investigation with the Dogman?
Well, I mean, it really depends. If we're just doing kind of a blind field research investigation, like, hey, guys, let's get together and go to the woods. One of the things we like to do is set out bait. So we'll take, like some old ham from Thanksgiving or whatever, maybe let it ripen for a few days and set it out, and then set up some trail cans, position so they can capture it and see if we can get any activity. We're hoping to provoke a response. To date, that has given us nothing. But nonetheless, it's one of the strategies we try to employ. And then, a lot of our time is spent actually interviewing eyewitnesses. So we get a report on our website and then we send out a field team. We have regions across the country. We try to pick a field lead, someone who's really interested in the topic and very reliable, and then they'll try and form a team of other folks in the area who are like-minded and interested in the topic. So we get a hit, we'll send our field lead and his team to try and do an interview as soon as possible, and if possible, actually analyze and assess the area, look for paw prints or fur or anything else. We have done some campouts, especially in areas that have more of a history. So there's an area of northwestern Kentucky called the Land Between the Lakes, and there was a purported, though hard to really establish, but there's still plenty of living witnesses to corroborate it, but a purported massacre of a family in an RV camper back in, I believe it was the early 80s. So as well as just other legends, locals, for years and years, over 100 years have reported. Some people say it's a Sasquatch. Some people describe it more like a werewolf, but something out there in the woods, right? So we've done campouts and events in the Land Between the Lakes, but that gets a little tricky because the federal agencies, the Park Service, they're not a big fan of cameras and us drawing attention and making YouTube videos and whatnot. So we kind of have to do it on the down low if we do it. Also, now we are a no-kill organization. We're not looking to shoot the thing if we ever see it. But myself, and a lot of the others, we like the idea of having a firearm on us just in case.
Absolutely.
Locations like that, being not a national park. Firearms are allowed in national parks, at least according to state laws in your state. But being a national forest, a lot trickier. So yeah, it's sometimes harder to get volunteers who are willing to go out in those woods and camp without a weapon.
Hey, William, I know when we do our thing with Bigfoot, I know since we've been doing it and we've kind of dipped our hands in the cookie jars, you want to say, kind of in there and the paranormal.
Sure.
And I think Wayne may have countered with one because one did laugh at him or some kind of a thing he may have caught in a known area that we know there's a Bigfoot or Bigfoots, possibly. I know when we do it, we'll try sometimes to gift. Do y'all do that with trying to do the same thing or kind of just put cameras up and
That's really good question.
Yeah, we haven't tried the gifting thing. I think the general consensus among us is, I am for the idea that the Sasquatch is an intelligent creature that, may share many of the same personality traits that humans have, and there may be a way to reach like a rapprochement with them, and some form of communication. The general consensus among the Dogman community, now there are a few outliers who, have maybe hippie, trippier ideas. And I'm not denigrating them because, to be honest, we don't know what the heck's going on out there. But is that it is not a friendly entity, and we're not going to reach some sort of level of communication or cooperation with it.
Right. Well, what got you? Pretty much been asked the same question we asked. That we've been asked is what got you to go that route in a way. If you had your options to here, what took you to go straight into that?
Straight into like Dogman itself?
Yeah.
Well, William, let me interrupt just a second. You told me a pretty interesting story.
Yeah.
That when we were talking, exchanging text messages about something that you encountered. This might be a good way to answer Walls's question if you want to go in and share that encounter.
Yeah, that story is helpful, I suppose. I guess to preface it, I spent a lot of time, my youth, as it were, studying science. So I studied the field of geology in college, and then I went on to pursue a master's degree and did a couple more years of postgraduate. So I had a very logical, practical, evidence-based sort of training to begin with. And of course, during that time period, I laughed at the idea of the supernatural, Bigfoot, anything like that. In fact, I need to get back in contact with him, but one of the guys in our group, my graduating class, he had a Bigfoot story where he was chased. He and some friends were chased by a Bigfoot that they encountered when they were approaching a cave or a cavern, and we laughed him to death. I mean, it was cruel, it was mean, and eventually he got to the point where he just said, "Yeah, that never happened." But now I feel really bad about it, and I think probably something did happen to him. So anyway, that being where I came from, I graduated. I finished school, and life happened, right? And I realized that like the ivory tower mentality of education isn't necessarily how the real world works. And I began to realize that there are things beyond our understanding. And being I guess an open-minded, scientifically oriented sort of fellow, I began to entertain them, because why the heck not? I mean, if it's all BS, well, then I can disprove it. So anyway, back to the story I mentioned to Wayne. I was living in Northeast Ohio, in southern Cuyahoga County. Cuyahoga County is the county where Cleveland's located. And I was renting a house, really, really cute little place, about an acre of land, but it was connected to several hundred acres of woodlands. And those woodlands were connected to hundreds of acres of public woodlands. They called it the green belt. There's a bunch of metro parks that, kind of envelop the general Cleveland area. It's really, really awesome, really nice. So anyway, regularly I would, just kind of blow off steam and relax. I would take my dog. She was a pretty young dog, and we'd go hiking through the woods. It was just our thing. It's a way to get her energy out. I love the woods. I'd hunt back there. Just really, it was kind of my zen place. So I believe it was 2014, January 2014. That was the year where there were all the polar vortexes. There's I don't know if you guys remember the meme from Georgia. Georgia got a bunch of snow, and there's like cars on fire and vehicles off the road. So it hit northeastern Ohio pretty hard too. There's a lot of snow, and it's just cold. So me and my dog were out there in the woods in the snow, and I just entered the woods from the backyard. So I'm about 10 feet in maybe, but all the foliage is down. You can see pretty far, and I'm looking down the tree line, and 2 houses down, I see a large. I mean, this thing was big, large, black, long-haired. Honestly, based on like the ears and the snout, the only thing I could think of was a very shaggy wolf. And I mean, this is northeastern Ohio. We haven't had. Well, I think we killed our last wolf in like the early 1800s. So I'm just looking at this thing, and it is. I'm looking at it in side profile, and it is looking into my neighbor's backyard. So I've entered the woods. I'm looking to my right. I see this thing looking at his left profile. I'm assuming his. And he's looking into my neighbor's backyard, 2 houses down. And I'm thinking, what is this thing? I mean, I'm not like a pro hunter. I try to spend my free time outdoors when I can. I'm familiar with wildlife. I know it's not a coyote, and I know the neighbor's dogs pretty well. This isn't one of the local dogs. So I'm looking at him, studying him, and my dog, she's just sniffing at sticks. She doesn't care. She doesn't see or perceive him. And I must have done something to catch his attention, because he turned his head to me. So he's still in profile, and he looks at me, and he's got these piercing yellow eyes, which I didn't notice at the time, but that is a hallmark of Dogman encounters. The thing that 95% of all witnesses will tell you is the eyes, piercing, bright yellow, like unnatural eyes. And this thing definitely had the yellow eyes, and it's looking at me. And I mean, we're probably at least 100 to 150 feet away, but I can clearly see them. And the weirdest thing of the whole encounter was as it looked at me and met my eyes. I mean, the only way I can describe it is it smiled. The corners of its mouth went up, full mouth of teeth. And I've had dogs my whole life. I mean, I know dogs can kind of give you that open mouth sort of grin. This wasn't that. This was something else. This was more than I've ever seen. And I mean, at that point, I'm a little bit chilled. Like, what is this? I mean, what am I seeing? I look down at my dog again to see if she's noticing anything. I mean, come on, dog. Do you smell it? Do you see it? She doesn't. And then I look back up, and he's gone. So that was my maybe encounter. I'm not going to say it was a Dogman, because I didn't see it on 2 feet. But it was big enough and weird enough. I went to class the next day, and talked to my friend of mine. He's a hunting buddy of mine, and I said, dude, do you think there's anything like a wolf in Ohio? Because I swear I saw one yesterday. He said, no, man, there's no way. I just kind of let it drop. And that's, like I said, that was 2014. And by 2016, I had somehow or another, been recommended some Dogman shows on YouTube, and I'm listening to Vic Condiff and several other sources, and I'm saying, man, there's hundreds, if not thousands of witnesses out there. They're seeing something in the woods, and like I said, as a scientist, I can say sure 90% of them are something else. They're misidentification. But if even 1% of them is real, we got something out there, something we need to know about, something we need to look into. And that's where my interest really came from.
Now, you said that this thing gave you a grin, right?
Yeah.
How creepy is that, man?
It was creepy. It definitely was.
That's nightmare fuel right there.
Mm-hmm.
That is terrible.
And I mean, I'm not going to get all woo-woo loopy, but I am going to tell you that before that happened, I'm not saying it has a psychic link with people or anything. Though I have ideas. I'm not even saying it's a physical entity. But I would periodically have dreams about some sort of a werewolf creature looking in my bedroom window, while I was sleeping. I mean, never saw anything, but it was just this. I mean, it was just this pressure on my mind. Northeast Ohio is an interesting area. I grew up in the area, and there's a lot of the Indian mounds. There's people reported digging up giant bones back in the 1800s. The Indians actually didn't live here. They used it as a hunting ground. So the Iroquois that were in like Pennsylvania and New York, the tribes that were up in Michigan, they all kind of had an agreement. This part of Ohio, this part of the country, no one claimed it. They would just come here periodically to hunt deer and whatnot, and then go back to their homes. So I don't know what it is about the area. I love the area, man. That's why I'm here, but it's a little weird. So
we have one. I think did you pull that up, Wayne? At 8:55, the question she asked.
No, I didn't see it. Did you send it to me?
Yes.
Do you remember the question?
I can go back to it. Yeah, Dana, one of our listeners and fans and Bigfoot astrologist, you want to call it. She asked, "What exactly does a Dogman look like? Does it have human feet and hands? What does a footprint look like?" Kind of a two-question thing there.
No, that's fine. So there's all sorts of things that people see, but the predominant one, the thing that most people report, is basically a Hollywood werewolf, and we're not talking like Lon Chaney, from the 1930s or 40s. We're talking something more like Van Helsing werewolf, with the recurved legs, the dog sort of legs, the dog paws. And a lot of the witnesses report the hands looking like basically raccoon hands, or paws, however you want. Long fingers, 2-inch long claws. Some will say even humanoid sort of hands, but definitely humanoid sort of musculature. Most people report seeing an entity with very broad, like bigger than NFL linebacker shoulders, but a very narrow V waist. And so there are, that's a general, very most common, I would say, report. There are reports of more of a humanoid sort of body with a dog head, and a lot of people think that this is some variant of a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot, because to have the sort of human or ape-shaped foot instead of a dog-shaped foot. Maybe it just has more pronounced snout. So obviously there is some amount of crossover in reports, that may be happening there. But the distinctive ones, report like 9-inch or 10-inch, very pointy. Think like if you've seen the statues or effigies of Anubis from ancient Egypt, they report them having very pointy, very pronounced ears and elongated snouts, similar to like a wolf or a German Shepherd. But a lot of them who have given extremely detailed accounts report that it tapers more sharply than a German Shepherd or a wolf. Maybe more like a fox, but long, and generally very dark furred. Some variations in fur color, but the most common report is like a very black, very dark furred entity.
Okay. Well, I was actually, that kind of popped in my mind when you were saying about the Egypt thing, because I was going to say, do you think this could be an part from like the ancestors of Egypt? Because they did worship people with because that's how it kind of describes is the Egypt people that had the dog heads, and
Right.
they worship that, and people were describing this as kind of like what that is. And you think it could be somewhere connected somehow?
It may be. I mean, Alexander the Great, the conquering Greek, he reported encountering whole cities full of dog-headed folks in like the area of northern India. And Pliny the Elder, who was a Greek historian, I believe he actually accompanied Alexander. He also reported encounters with dog-headed folks, and they were not violent encounters. They even reported that basically they had their own society. They couldn't communicate in human speech, but there was even some small amount of trade that occurred. So I mean that may be fanciful tales, but I lean towards there's something there. So my thoughts, and this does not necessarily reflect the North American Dogman Project. We have no real position. Lately, I lean more towards them being a little bit more interdimensional. I don't know if that means there are like rifts that open up in certain areas of the country or the world that allow stuff to pass through at different times. I don't know. I don't know if they're more, incorporeal like ghosts or phantoms. Because obviously people do have encounters where they see them eating. A few people have claimed to have been touched by them. Obviously, we have the story we'll go over where some dogs were hurt by them. It's really hard to explain, but one of the things I lean towards is that they are not entirely physical like we are, and that could explain why sightings come and go, depending on the year, the time of year. Why some witnesses basically describe them as kind of vanishing, going around a corner and boom, they're gone. And of course, deer can do that too. Deer are really fast and stealthy, so hard to say.
Yeah, Walls, you took my next question from me. I was gonna ask. We have our beliefs. Or there's a running argument in the Bigfoot community of, I guess not an argument, just different thoughts of what these things are. I lean toward they're more biological. They're flesh and blood. There's some kind of primate. You got those out there that believe they're an alien. Others out there that believe they're like skinwalkers, shapeshifters, things like that. And that's why I was going to ask what seems to be the leading theory in the Dogman community of what these things might be. But
the general feel I get from a lot of folks is they tend to lean, more biological. Whether it's, obviously if you believe in the theory of evolution. Now, look, I'm a Christian. I believe in God. But I'm also totally open to the idea of evolution, even our evolution guided by God, perhaps. So, if you believe in evolution, then you can accept that just as we changed in the last 100,000 years, other species can change, right? So a lot of folks kind of lean towards the idea that, this was some form of wolf, dire wolf, canid, whatever, hyena, that continued to evolve. And for, same reasons that we learned how to walk on 2 feet and that benefited us, that it benefits them as well. I'd say that's probably the more common theory that most researchers will put forward.
Okay. Now, I would go, since we've been with them or been kind of in parts of with them, basically, I think they're biological because a lot back in history of basically my ancestors of Cherokee Nation, they do talk about the skinwalkers also.
Sure.
So
yeah.
I kind of lean both. Yeah, I kind of go right there with it. It could possibly be a skinwalker. Now the Bigfoot thing, it could be possibly the same thing, but I believe it's also like Wayne. I think it's some type of biological human
primate.
Yeah, human primate kind of thing.
So going with the Native American sort of angle and the skinwalker angle, I mean, I'm intrigued by that. I'm not going to put my money down on anything, but I lived in Arizona for several years. My mother's from Arizona. I've got family that lives there. They grew up very close to the reservations. No one who lives there near the reservations takes the skinwalker stories lightly. Be they white or native, no one takes it lightly, because if you live near there, generally you have experiences, and they make you take it, you don't want to have more experiences, so you don't talk about it much. And one of the more common experiences that folks have is they describe, a haired cryptid that looks kind of like werewolf, or a coyote on two legs. So and then you go to like European history, and werewolves are definitely part of Europe's lore. It's part of the background there. You got the Rougarou I lived in Louisiana for a few years. You got the Rougarou down in the swamps of Louisiana. That's a legend that the Cajun brought from France, the loup-garou. And I mean, it seems to be all over that there is something that some way perhaps that humans can, through whatever means, whatever pacts, somehow take on elements of animals like the skinwalker. And it's maybe not just confined to the Native American. Like I said, you could tell me some alien could come down and show me, hey, they're coming through rifts, portals in space. This is what they are. And I'd say, yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Or someone could say, hey, these are definitely skinwalkers, and show me proof. And I'd be like, I can accept that too, So
Yeah,
I'm open to it all.
It's weird that you brought up the UFO thing, because we got another question here from dude from Texas. What's his opinion on UFO sightings during cryptid sightings? Do you think there's a connection?
There could very well be. There's not so many associated with the Dogman as with Sasquatch. I know there are, it's something like 20 or 30% of Sasquatch sightings, are connected to UFO sightings in the area. God, you could get me talking for hours on this subject. Of course, there's the legends of the Anunnaki, a highly advanced race of extraterrestrials that may or may not have altered our DNA, hominid DNA on Earth, so that we could serve them to help. The theory is mine gold, or whatever, and then they leave us alone and we develop our own society here on Earth. One of the theories I've heard espoused is that, Bigfoot, Dogman, and maybe a few others were also creations of theirs and served a role. Perhaps Dogman was a sort of soldier, species that was created for whatever purpose, and Bigfoot maybe was more of a guardian or, a gardener species to take care of the land. I'm totally open to those ideas, and we all got left behind by whoever it was that altered all of our DNA. I don't know, but I don't think there's anything wrong with believing in extraterrestrials and UFOs. And I don't see why they can't work together with cryptids as well.
All right, we got another one here. It's our Mannimal investigation team members are coming out with some great questions tonight. Greg wants to know, and I want to know this too. Do you think the Bigfoot and Dogman are at odds with each other? Are they enemies? Because I've heard this more than a couple of times. Great question, Greg.
I mean, it would make sense, right? If there's anything that could potentially view Bigfoot as a food source, it would be, an 8-foot tall, 400-pound canine with razor-sharp teeth and claws, right? It would make sense, and there are several encounters that have been reported witnessing conflict between Sasquatch and Dogman sort of creature. I've heard of people witnessing Sasquatch that appeared to have scars on their shoulders and arms that might be, canine sort of scars. Not obviously, the theory is, that Sasquatch would have a denture sort of like ours, but larger. So they're saying more elongated, like a dog bite would be, versus another Sasquatch biting it in maybe a mating competition. I don't see why they would get along, unless they were both being controlled by some outside entity.
Yeah, Mr. Duffy here says many cases of them working together. Illinois Sasquatch has many stories about that. He has told me about them. And shout out to Mr. Duffy there. We've had Mr. Duffy on before, and he's going to be a guest coming up here in a couple weeks. So looking forward to that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've heard of that too, where they were seen together and not necessarily fighting each other. So there's just so much we don't know.
Well, we had that one lead with my friend that had cancer, and where she
that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah,
that's when we had that crazy night.
She had. Let me tell William about this. She had been seeing some stuff in her backyard, and we went up. This was an area we went and investigated, and she had seen some what she thought were Bigfoot, and then she had seen some smaller ones that she thought were children that had tails.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and someone that was a little more versed in Dogman said that the Dogman pups have tails. Have you heard that?
That was Janice.
So, who knows what's going on? I mean, a lot of witnesses report seeing no tails at all, and then a lot of them report seeing big, shaggy, wolf-like tails. And maybe there's two different types. Maybe sometimes they lose them in a fight with another dog man. I mean, I've seen dogs and cats that have lost their tails naturally. Maybe there's just different variations in breeds. I don't know, but I do know that witnesses see both types.
Okay, we got another one. Our audience is just firing them away tonight. What awesome guys!
Yeah, that
one. What kind of sounds are reported made by Dogman? Great question.
Just unearthly howls. A wolf times 10, and a lot of people describe them as sounding painful. So I don't know. I have dogs, and I've heard them howl and bark. I don't know what a painful howl sounds like, but apparently it's a feeling that's given by people who to people who hear them.
Okay. All right. Before time gets any more away from us, let's go ahead, if you don't mind, and go into the story about the encounter with the gentleman that raised dogs. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah. So
I'm sorry. Let me interrupt, William. While he's telling this story, I'm going to share a couple of pictures, and I want to go ahead and apologize to our viewers that they might be a little difficult to look at. I mean, it's nothing like gory or anything like that, but just gonna go ahead and give you the heads up that these might be a little bit difficult to look at. But go ahead, William.
We'll get your questions here in a minute, people. I see it's a couple, two of them. We'll definitely get them here in a minute.
So in 2017, a man from northeastern Ohio reached out to our organization. He lived outside of the Akron-Canton area, which is southeast of Cleveland. He raised German Shepherds for breeding, and he had 15 dogs. Now, over the course of a few weeks, 11 of them came up dead. What you just saw there in that picture is a picture of the belly area of one of his dogs. Now, that long cut, that incision, that was not made by a human. That was made by whatever killed this animal. And you can see the puncture wounds along it. Looks like 4, maybe 5 puncture wounds. We're assuming those were claws. So, he didn't see necessarily what killed his dogs, but his dogs came up dead. And we're talking full-grown, quality stock German Shepherds, dogs well over 100 pounds. And they were butchered like, I raise rabbits and quail. They're wimpy animals, right? They were butchered like they were nothing. So, he lost his stock, and unfortunately, he was so freaked out, so broken by losing most of his prime dogs that he ended up selling his property outside of Canton and moving over an hour away. So he did that pretty quickly. We never did get a chance to go and investigate the property because it changed ownership before we could get out there. But like I said, it was such a traumatic event for the man, losing his dogs in such a violent, unknown way that he just didn't want to try to start all over. That's the image of the head of one of the dogs. That's a dead dog, and there's puncture wounds. This image doesn't necessarily show them, but there are puncture wounds around the base of the ears. These images were taken from our website, the North American Dogman Project.com. I'd like to give them credit for that. There are several more pictures of this from this event on there if anyone wants to check it out. But yeah, it was pretty bad, and I I'm sure most of us are aware Ohio is not the backwoods necessarily. It is not the Upper Peninsula, Michigan. It is not Idaho or Montana. We don't have wolves here. We're not supposed to have cougars. Now, just like most places, we are seeing cougars. We do have black bears in the more rural areas, but this is not necessarily a rural area where this man was located. We definitely don't have grizzly or anything like that. So for the most part, the largest predator you're going to run into in the state of Ohio is a coyote, and those are about 40 pounds, and a German Shepherd would make very quick work of a coyote. So we don't know what killed this, but our theory is, and Northeast Ohio is prime dogman country. Our theory is, a dogman, an upright canine. I like to call them upright canines, Canis erectus. I think dogman, it's a cool word, but I think it, to a lot of people, just sounds a little hokey and they don't take it seriously. So.
Okay.
Go back. Go ahead.
Wayne.
That shared Mr. Duffy there. Yeah, he's right. We did have that image up when Illinois Sasquatch was on our program, that was a crazy picture of a donkey killed that they believed happened from a Dogman. Okay.
Yeah. There was a horse in northern Kentucky that got mauled a few years ago by something. Kentucky's a lot like Ohio, right? It shouldn't have these big predators, but this horse had long scratches down its flank. So deep cutting scratches. Interestingly enough, in that same area, there's a metro park called Silver Creek Metro Park, and there have been a lot of Dogman sightings there by folks, including a ranger who either lost his job or quit his job. We're not sure which, but people were seeing him run across roads in the area. I mean, it's also not far from where I lived in southern Cuyahoga County. So, and also that area is very close to the Cuyahoga National Park, which is a lovely area of woodland that follows the Cuyahoga River. So there's plenty of woods to hide in, plenty of deer, plenty of game. 2 years ago, I believe it was, 2019, supposedly a black bear was hit on Highway 77, which goes right through that area. The road was shut down. They actually transported the black bear out on an ambulance, according to witnesses. And witnesses who got close enough before they had the area kind of blocked off said it was no black bear. It was a very large 400-pound canine. Now, we do have black bear in Ohio, but they don't usually get to be 400 pounds. That's more of a Pennsylvania, New York thing where they have a lot of forage. Here, they tend to be very hidden back in the woods. They don't get into the farm field. They don't have as much food. They don't grow as big. So, and especially not in a large metro area like that. So, this man's experience matches with a lot of other events that have happened over the years recently in that area.
Okay, we got another great question from Greg.
We got a couple of them.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to, if you don't mind, William, if you can go through these pretty quickly, because
Sure.
we've got several that we want to make sure that we get to you. Greg is asking, other than the sounds, what other signs would a person want to look for? Because when we do Bigfoot investigations, we look for tree breaks, X marks, TP structures, things like that.
So very large dog prints. Our working theory is that it has a dog-shaped paw. 4 toes, not 5. You see 5 toes, that's a bear. 4 toes, dog, because it's got the dew claw back on its ankle. That's a prime one. The others, like your tree breaks, well, one of the classic signs are large claw marks on trees, 8, 9, 10 feet up. That's one thing we associate with them as well. Now, hopefully I'm not taking too much time with this. One of the interesting things we saw near Germantown was a deer skull placed on, not a skull, really, it still had flesh on it, it's just old and dead, placed on top of a post. Now, me as a human, if I'm putting a deer skull on the post, I'm going to set it like that, looking outward, kind of in the normal anatomical position. This thing was placed so that the post was going through the back of the skull, through the jaw, and out through the teeth of the deer. There was just something about it when we saw that we thought, either there's a real sicko out here that did this, or something that doesn't see the world like we see it did this. So, you might look for signs like that.
Okay, and Bigfoot Bud, say, what's up, Bud? I believe we saw Bud at the Squatch Out. Do Bigfoot and Dogman share the same area or generally keep to their own areas? This is something else I've heard quite a bit of. Well, what do you find?
It seems like both. Obviously, there are the stories of them fighting or getting along, so their area may overlap. I mean, they're 2 apex predators. They probably eat the same things, at least as far as meat goes: deer, rabbits, people's dogs. But a lot of people also, tend to find or feel like they see or encounter Dogman in one area and Bigfoot in another area. There are people who've had experiences with both.
Okay.
I can't really tell you.
And this one from Mr. Duffy, I think you kind of already hit on it with the previous question. Anyone know if Dogman makes structures doing things with trees? You talked on that a little bit.
Yeah, marking trees with their claws, maybe. I don't think they build structures like Bigfoot are known to do. There are reports of them taking over abandoned cellars and houses. People have had experiences with that. Yeah, like denning up in an abandoned structure. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I've never heard that. I've heard it with Bigfoot before.
You have a place that was an abandoned place.
Yeah, the place you and I went.
Yeah.
And there's a story of something coming out, a bear walking out of that house.
Well, shoot, you got that bear. Was it in North Carolina? The bear that saved the 3-year-old boy that was missing in like the middle of the winter, for 3 days.
What is ever become of that? Do you know something?
Aside from no, the last I saw an article from, I think it was 2019. The only thing I've seen.
I guarantee the government said set it up. That's the government.
I mean, look, I'm not saying bears are murderers. One that's well fed may not view a little boy as food, but I don't think it's going to den up with them and keep them warm in the middle of winter. Sasquatch might.
Yeah.
And something about the little boy would have had to have crossed a creek that was over his head or something for him to be in the area that he was found in. So something carried him.
Yep.
I think.
Yeah, they don't have opposable thumbs like we do to grab something. So
yeah. Let's show this other picture real quick because we're running out of time. Talk about this. Lead us up to tell us about this picture and the backstory to it.
All right. So this came from Central Ohio. About 30 miles outside of Columbus, I believe. And what it is, that this structure is a workshop. I believe it's like a welding, metalworking establishment. One of the employees heard a noise outside, and he saw a furred creature that he described as looking somewhat like a dog. And it was between a couple of the work trucks. He said it was pretty big, but it moved very fast. He didn't get a good look at it. And where did it move? It actually jumped up or climbed up onto the back of the roof of the structure, this workshop. And I mean, it's blurry, but if you take into account the scale of that, propane tank or whatever's on top of that tool, and kind of imagine how far away it is. I mean, we're looking at something fairly big. So he got this picture of something that he says was between two work trucks and then hopped up onto the back of the building. And I maybe to get a good look at him, maybe just get away. I don't know. But, our working theory is that it was a Dogman that he startled.
Wow.
So are you saying that someone saw this thing jump on the roof?
Yeah.
Or
the man who took the picture, he initially saw it between two of the work trucks. And then, like I said, it ran off, but it didn't disappear. It ran around behind the building, hopped up onto the roof, and he realized it was up there. So one of the rare people who actually managed to get their phone out, he took a picture of it for us.
Wow. That's crazy. That is crazy.
I want, William, you said you've heard the howls.
I've not personally heard them. I mean, I've heard a few recordings that may have been.
Have you ever heard any of them doing a crazy laugh or kind of a hyena kind of
there are accounts. Yeah. I mean, there are definitely witnesses who say they A, look like hyenas, more like hyenas, and B, have made hyena-like sounds. So the hyena thing's interesting because hyenas are actually not very closely related to dogs. I mean, they're about as close to dog as a bear is. They're a different species. And there were North American hyena populations during the Ice Age that went extinct. So who knows? We may be looking at some sort of a relic of the hyena population that was here, and maybe those happened to walk on their back legs. No one. Well, primitive man was around, probably was responsible for them going extinct, but no one was around to record how they behaved. The
reason I asked that, since you're kind of more into that, I figured it was the sounds and recording. Wayne did experience something in one of our spots, and we haven't been back. Now, we just ain't had time to go back, but it was enough to. We don't get. I don't like he'll carry, but we don't intend to kill.
Sure.
He carries. I carry a hatchet, usually my knife. Something like that. I'm less lethal in a way. It's hard to get me nerves going, but I know the battlefield I usually do stuff. I got nerve racked down there, but I didn't have anything like he did with it kind of laughing. And I haven't heard anything. I've heard coyotes everywhere. I don't know if anybody else has noticed. I've seen a lot of coyotes dead on the road. I don't know if they're on the move.
Ohio. Yeah.
I've seen them. I've seen one crossing down the road just looking from the highway, and I've seen a few dead. They're pretty good sized ones.
Oh yeah,
And
out
it's
here in the
rare. I
east,
haven't
there's a lot
seen
of
them
food.
unless is it mating season for them right now?
No idea.
I mean, they're out, and something is either pushing them out or something.
Yeah, the instance that Walls is referring to about me, one of our original research areas down in North Georgia. I was with a few other members and just had a real bad feeling all night long. And it came time for our what we call night hikes that we used to do. We don't do them anymore because I feel like they're pointless. But it came time for that, and I didn't want to go, and I'd never had a problem going on any other. So I stayed behind with the 13-year-old grandson of one of our members, and the other two members that went weren't gone 10 minutes, and the most ungodly scream was let out. And I described it as a laughing bark, or a bark that turned into just a real demonic sounding laugh.
That sounds like some of the accounts. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, people do talk about some of these noises kind of transitioning from one thing to a howl or to a bark. So I could see that. Also, I mean, little off what you're talking about, but people have talked about them up close, even making sounds that sound almost like a cappuccino machine. Kind of that hissing, popping sort of noise.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, they make it's I don't know, but what you just described, I would not, if I were investigating, I wouldn't say, nope, not a Dogman. I'd say that's a pretty important piece of evidence you just gave me. So,
well, cool. That's pretty cool that he kind of says that, because one of the guys that actually a promoter for indie wrestling, which I'm an indie wrestler, has a small group. He don't go out much more, but I told him what we do. He asked me, and I told him. I said about the area, and he said, "Yeah, that's known for Dogman."
Oh, really?
And that's where when Wayne told me and described all this, I went into trying to figure out, like, okay, we're in that area, but it's also Bigfoot area because it's south of the Blue Ridges and the area where it's hot spots. And he told me, he said that's a hot spot for Dogman.
Sure. Cool.
So that's pretty good. Kind of, you come out, and that's why I wanted to ask you on that, because
that sounds pretty legit right there. So
yeah.
Well, William, man, this time has flown by. We've already gone over an hour, and I'm telling you, it flies by. And I feel like there's a lot more that you could talk about. So I would like to extend the invitation for you to come back sometime.
I'd love to. Can I give you? I don't know how much time you got.
Go ahead.
All right. So I looked it up. We bought this house here a few months here in Pennsylvania. It's a beautiful area near a state park and a lake. I love it. But I did some research on the area after I bought the house, just to see if there's been anything. In 1959, there was an event. The nearest town is called Jamestown, Pennsylvania. And there was an event in the state park. Some scouts, I guess they were 11 years old, so just about the youngest type of Boy Scout you get. They were camping out in the campground in Jamestown, and about 3:30 in the morning, the scoutmaster wakes up because the kids are just flipping out. I mean, they're screaming, they're running around, and he's like, "What are they doing? They should be in their tents." He gets out of his tent, and apparently, what had happened was they had heard a horrible howl. Now, I'm talking more of a Bigfoot howl, not a Dogman. Definitely a Bigfoot encounter. And they thought someone was playing a prank on them at first, and then something shook their tent. And 1959, so we're talking old school army style tents, not like the tents with bottoms and everything. And the next thing they know, their tent gets ripped off of them and thrown. And what do they see? Giant 7-8 foot tall Bigfoot just baring its teeth, roaring at them, red eyes, and they lose their crap. And then it bolts, but the scoutmaster comes out and dealing with it. I guess they pack up early and they go home. But it's part of local legend, part of old news reports. So this area I'm in right now, at least 60, 70 years ago, had a pretty good Bigfoot encounter.
Yeah, Pennsylvania is a pretty hot spot for them.
Yeah.
What about Dogman? Is Pennsylvania? Is it?
Absolutely. Yeah, they have. Like I said, I think a lot of their areas overlap. I mean, the Bigfoot may be more omnivore, willing to eat roots and berries and whatnot. But I'm pretty sure a big creature like that's going to be eating a decent amount of fat and protein. So they're both going to be eating, the same deer and fish. I guess accounts of Dogman and Bigfoot stealing catfish out of the back of people's pickup trucks, have gone about too. So yeah, I think they compete for a lot of the same food.
Yeah. All right, William. I appreciate you coming on, taking the time to come hang out with us and answer a lot of really, really good questions. This is most questions we've had in a long time, so people are obviously interested in this subject. So I'd be happy to have you back, man.
Anytime you want, you know how to reach me, so I'll be here.
All right, buddy. And again, thank you, and I hope that you'll have a good night and come back and see us.
You too. Thank you, guys.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, bro.
You as well. Merry Christmas to all. To all, a good night.
All right, bud. How was that?
That's pretty good.
Man,
our viewers in my mind to ask about that laugh, and it's like because it still bothers me. We ain't been back, and we ain't tried to go back. I mean, we ain't tried. We just ain't had time to do it because that's one of our longest ones that we can go to.
Yeah,
so I mean,
it was our first couple outings were at that spot. So
I mean, we got Bigfoot. We got. I mean, and then you got that. So. And it was in a cemetery.
yeah, that's so we got the whole paranormal aspect too.
I know you mentioned me. Are you wanting to do a Christmas show?
We are trying. I'm glad you brought that up. We have been in. I've reached out to a viewer favorite. Have not gotten a response yet. I don't want to put the name out there just yet because I would at least like to speak to him. But we are planning on doing a Christmas Eve show. And if everything works out, then we'll try to put that together for you guys. But if we don't and we don't see you again before Christmas, guys, I hope everyone is safe, gets to spend a lot of time with their family and their friends and their loved ones and have a very, very Merry Christmas.
I know we have a show for Sunday too, right?
Yeah,
for sure. We know that Sunday we will have a show. If not, if we
absolutely, I think Christmas is Saturday, and if we don't get on here Friday night, then we will definitely have our regular show on Friday. We already got a really cool guy lined up for that show, so we will be back next Sunday.
Good deal, because I'm gonna have. Apparently, Pat on here wants to see me in my wrestling gear or something with things. So I said, you know what? I will do it in the next show. So my next show, you're going to see what I actually dress up as.
Unless it's the Christmas show. The Christmas show, come out in a Santa hat or something like that.
I can do it. Christmas show, I ain't going to do it. I'm talking about I'm going to do it with, if we get one. I'm talking about the regular show. But
I'm kind of looking forward to that too now.
Well, guys,
let's get out of here.
You did put my email up, didn't you?
Oh, crap. No, I didn't.
You see there? Guys, here's the shirt.
Which one is your email?
The Tennessee
Bigfoot Watcher?
Yep. There you go, guys. The shirt, the phrase is live and real. So if you want a shirt like this with this on there, I want you to email me your size. If you want that on there, if you want a type of design, send it with the email. I will send it over to the person. I'll send it over to Stacy. Her name is Stacy Deering. And I will see if she can do it. And if she can or not, we'll figure it out. If not, we'll figure it out. And then I will get back with you through the email. Also, put your numbers on there, your phone numbers. I can text you and email you at the same time. That way we both communicate, and communication is the key for anything.
Guys, this is his email address. And if you're on our Facebook page and you're probably already friends with Walls, you can shoot him a message on Messenger, I'm sure, or you can get me and I'll get you to him. Or this is a direct line to his email. So very cool.
There we go. Guys, I want, and because the better half's over here snoring. That's why I was trying to stick her to keep from snoring on it. Guys, I want you guys to have a Merry Christmas. It's good to see you guys. I'm glad to be back on. Just give us time. We're getting back together, getting this stuff going again. And maybe we can get one show. We'll talk about my camp out because went on a couple of camp outs without you, man, and we did have that one. We had some stuff happen. We can go over it and maybe do a show for that too. I don't know if you guys want to do that. You put it in the comments and we'll go back and read them. And if you guys want to do that, I'll be glad to answer. Maybe I can get the ones that went with us and see if they, maybe what their opinions was.
All right, guys. We're gonna get out of here. Got to work in the morning. Appreciate you guys stopping by, hanging out with us, and like always, guys, take care of each other, be good to each other, and we will see you next time.